when you equip your employees with this knowledge, you're not just shaping their future, you're also shaping the way they interact with the company.
Financial literacy is quite something.
Yes.
So who is this conversation meant for?
Wow. It's usually a conversation that is open for everyone. As long as you're earning money, then this is the right conversation for you.
Yes.
So this was one of the disclosures I did to my wife.
Wow.
That, you know what, I have already signed up for this long-term engagement with an insurance company for the sake of our children. And she was like, which children? You know? But of course, story for another day. Through that class is when I enrolled for my first education policy. By then I didn't have kids, but it really resonated with me on how you can prepare for your child's education 20 years up front, and you start preparing for that eventuality now.
Hello and welcome back to the Sylvia Career Podcast, where we have conversations that matter. Before we start today's conversation, let's recap what we spoke about in the last episode. And the last episode was about navigating office politics. So you can catch up with that conversation. Today's conversation, I have a guest and I am going to let him introduce himself. So Steve, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
All right. Thank you very much, Sylvia, for having me. My name is Stephen Kagiri. If you like Stephen Kagiri Kimuyu, it depends on where you know me from. There are people who know me as Stephen Kagiri, other people know me as Stephen Kimuyu. I'm a financial literacy advocate and, just teaching about the importance of having financial knowledge and practicing the same for our growth, for our future, and making the most out of the income that we earn and ensuring that we are using it to grow ourselves. Yeah.
Awesome. Financial literacy is quite something.
Yes.
So who is this conversation meant for?
Wow. It's usually a conversation that is open for everyone. As long as you're earning money, then this is the right conversation for you.
Right.
Of course, the context in which you're having the conversation matters.
Yes.
Because if you're having it with someone who is just starting off their employment, then it's going to be different from someone who is just retiring or someone who is in their middle level of their career.
Awesome.
Or even children, and we do it with all types of people and all setups.
Okay.
And so, as per your question, it's actually good for everyone who earns an income.
Awesome. I love that you mentioned about children,
Yes.
because we know that habits that are built in adults is the things that we learned when you're younger.
Yes.
So it avails much when you learn financial literacy when you're young. So I'm glad that your conversation also involves children in as much as they are not earning an income per se. Yeah.
True.
Would you want to talk about a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so it's usually preparation.
Okay.
And let me take you back to how we grew up.
Yes.
We grew up knowing that, respect is very important. And I bet right now, if you get into a matatu, I don't know whether you still use matatu.
Of course.
We grew up knowing that if you go into a matatu and an elderly person gets in and you are seated and you're a young person, then you need to stand. And that is like a show of respect to the elderly. And I bet for the people who went through life with such instructions, even to date, when such a scenario happens, you'll find that people will respond with that kind of, way of respecting other people. And the reason I'm bringing up this is to show that what you learn when you're a young person really sinks into your subconscious, and you do it almost automatically.
Yes.
So likewise, if you are to introduce money conversations and financial literacy at a very early age, then it will become second nature when that child grows up.
Awesome.
And what I've seen is that the reason why most people usually end up making financial mistakes when they start earning is because the only way we interact with money when we are young mostly is because it will be like we interact with money when our parents send us to the shops. And as situations are, you find that when you are sent to the shop, you're going to be given almost an exact amount of money that you need to spend, or slightly higher. You will not be given a lot of money. So the subconscious training that we usually get as children with relations to money is that money usually is spent until the last coin. And that's why you'll find that most people don't have a savings culture. Because the way they started interacting with money, they know that when they have 1,000 shillings, they will spend the entire of it and it's done. So there is no aspect of saving. And that's why you'll find that most people struggle with when you start earning, you sort of want to use the entire salary because that's how you grew up knowing money is spent. And that's why it's very important to start talking about, how do you spend money, financial literacy, the importance of saving, the importance of having, even knowing how to make money. Because usually we are told, or when we were growing up, or those who are older than us, go to school, get very good grades, get a good job, and you will have a good life. There is no one who talks about make money, then manage this money in this way, and this is what money is supposed to do for you, and this is how you're supposed to handle it. They just stop at make money, get a good job, and get a good life. What happens around there, no one talks about, the actual process of making money and how to manage it thereafter. So it's very important for you to start off that conversation at that age. And you'll realize that the people who interact with those lessons from a very early age, they handle money in a totally different way. Right now, I've started off this process with my kids. And I can tell you, right now, if you dished 100 shillings to my son, or, my daughter is still quite young. She still doesn't understand money. But my two sons, you give them money right now, they will immediately ask where the bank is, their piggy bank. They already know that the first thing that you need to do with money is save. And then once they have apportioned the amount that they need to save, they'll start now thinking, what else do I do with this money? And that's basically how it's supposed to be done. And I'm talking of sons who are 9 and 6.
Wow.
So they already know that when you earn money, you're supposed to first of all save it, and then now you do the other things, which is part of the conversation you're going to have.
Yes, awesome. That's very beautiful. I love the fact that you mentioned that right now the children that we are raising ourselves, because we are a bit aware, unlike us who you are told get good grades, get a good job, you'll have a good life. But right now their life is not happening that way. It's no longer the part of get a good job, you'll have a good life. It's totally different how life is. So it is also a tall order on us because we have to unlearn so that we can teach the right principles to our children and those that are younger than us. Because now that we have experienced this side of life that's not exactly that way, it helps us to build and also to have people navigate life at different stages. Now, Steve, I have a question for you. How did you land into financial literacy? Was it something you wanted to do always, or how did you get there?
Goodness. Far from it. Let me say, it's those things that you say you stumble upon it, probably accidentally. But I don't like looking at it that way. I look at it like it was God's leading into my purpose of having this as, what I'm going to do to the world, to be important in this world. So how it happened is that I like vocational teaching. I like sharing information from a very early age. It was a thing for me to see, or rather to see me, having a conversation about something and teaching people how to do things. So teaching comes naturally to me, or sharing information, or guiding. However, now to concentrate it on financial literacy or things to do with personal finance management, it was an opportunity that I got almost accidentally. I overheard 2 colleagues talking about a program that my employer by then had that would teach financial literacy to the young people. So my employer by then had a program that would go to high schools, we would go to colleges, and generally even the informal sector, the informal settlements, teaching about financial literacy. And I was interested. I actually overheard, and I was like, okay, so how can I participate? How can I get enrolled into that? And so at that particular time, there was a trip that was being organized to Kisumu. The team that was managing that had organized a whole engagement with high schoolers from different schools, around 30 schools. And so there was to be a road trip down to Kisumu, or is it up to Kisumu? I don't know which, the geographical, direction. And so they were looking for volunteers who could go and do that. And because of my urge to share information, I was like, this is a good opportunity for me to go and learn. And so I asked from the 2 colleagues who were sharing, and they told me how I can get to participate. The long short of it is that we went and we were trained on the material that the team was using to share that information. And so it's material that would cover all the way from budgeting to saving to investing to risk management, all the way up to retirement. And we went through what you would call a trainer of trainer course, a so-called TOT, and it was a half-day training. And I fell in love with the material. It actually happens that I had been a student, or rather I had sat on the other side of to be taught with the same material by someone from the head office of the company I was working for by then. And so I had consumed that knowledge as an individual. And actually, through that class is when I enrolled for my first education policy. By then I didn't have kids, but it really resonated with me on how you can prepare for your child's education 20 years up front, and you start preparing for that eventuality now. And you set aside a certain portion of your income towards that goal. Because if you have the what do you call it? If you're looking forward to have kids, definitely they'll get to a certain level and they'll go to college and all that. So you start preparing early. So because I had actually benefited as a person from that class, then I actually saw it as a very good opportunity for me then to share this information with others. You see, I had interacted with the material as a consumer of that knowledge, and it helped me to sign up for my first education plan. 2 years before I got married.
That's a beautiful story.
And it was even funny because by the time I was now talking to my fiance, and we were talking about finances, the way you go to the premarital classes, and you're taught that you need to have agreed some aspects about money. So this was one of the disclosures I did to my wife. That, I have already signed up for this long-term engagement with an insurance company for the sake of our children. And she was like, which children? But of course, story for another day. So, so eventually now, having interacted with this material, it then intrigued me that for sure I can be part of shaping the future of young people especially. And so I took that opportunity to go to Kisumu and share the financial knowledge with those high schoolers, with pride. And I can say from that point on, it became part of what I do as a person. Both in my main job, because I was working in an environment where teaching financial literacy actually would resonate with the kind of work that I was doing.
Awesome.
But more so, I took it as a personal initiative. And so over the years, that was around 2018, I should say. And from that point on, I have been building my knowledge and my interaction with aspects to do with financial literacy, investments, savings and importance, managing financial risk, and all the other facets of, the so-called personal finance management, or broadly regarded as financial literacy.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it was by accident, but then I took it, as a personal initiative. Yeah.
But from what I hear from you, you're speaking about it so passionately. So it looks like this is where you find purpose and fulfillment.
Definitely. And I talk about this. I usually say that anyone who cares to listen to me talking about finances, I will gladly share that information because, one, as you can see, it already started resonating with me from a very early age. What we are talking about is, it was in my second year of employment. That's when I came across this information. Our manager by then, God bless him, for arranging for that financial literacy conversation. And I think employers really need to do this.
Awesome.
Because when you equip your employees with this knowledge, you're not just shaping their future, you're also shaping the way they interact with the company. Because you see, I still remember that my manager then arranged for us to have someone from head office to come and talk to us about our finances.
Wow.
And that is the time I opened my first savings account. And what happened is that when I opened that account, I had just gotten an increment in my salary after getting confirmed. And what I did is that I channeled that entire amount into a savings account.
Awesome.
And that shaped a lot of how I ended up now interacting with life, because that is the amount that I used to. I had talked about a fiance. That is the amount that I used to now arrange for the wedding and all those things that usually follow. You see, that's a good foundation that I had.
Yes.
And it also taught me that I need to work with what is left after I have saved.
Awesome.
We usually call that paying yourself first. So you're planning for the expenditure based on what is left after you have saved and done your most important things. So in this case, I was saving, but at the same time, I was paying for the education plan, which for me is actually, it doubles up as a savings plan, a long-term savings plan, but at the same time as a risk management, as well as, you can call it, quote unquote, an investment. Although I know, the returns from that might not be comparable to, if it was an active investment, but then it combines all those aspects. But then the most important is the discipline that you actually teach yourself. So at the end of the day, this the passion comes from knowing that it is impacting lives very literally, because I have been a beneficiary of my own, those lessons. I have seen it in terms of how I grow my net worth, how I've interacted with money, and the assets that I've ended up owning. All that is courtesy of that whole understanding of how the financial world works, and that you need to sacrifice sometimes if you want to achieve your goals. And it looks like I'm already going into the conversation about the whole, arrangement of personal finance.
That's very beautiful. Now, you mentioned about something very critical, paying yourself first.
Yes.
Would you please expound that? Tell me what that really means. I know there are many people who understand it differently, like paying yourself first is giving yourself a treat, things like that. Please demystify what paying yourself first means.
Yes. So paying yourself first is realizing that you have future needs.
Yes.
Primarily. And the income you earn today
is
supposed to give you access to a better future tomorrow and the days to come. But then you need to realize that for that to happen, for you to get that better future, you have to invest in it. You have it will not just come.
Yes.
You have to unlock it by assigning money into it. So what you do is that out of your 100% of your income, you decide this is the portion that I want to retain. And that's why we call it paying yourself first. So you decide that this income will not go out of my circles. Because remember, when you spend, the financial beneficiary of that money is the person who ends up with it. So if you buy food, if you pay rent, if you go out and enjoy yourself, yes, you will have a good treat and you will remain with the experiences and you will feel good. But the money, the actual money has gone. It's gone out of your hands.
Yes.
The only thing you remain with is the experience or the utility you get out of that money. But if the money that remains within your circles is now what becomes yours, and it's supposed to remain with you forever, you know, that's why we call it paying yourself first. So you are, quote unquote, selfish in this case. I know it's not a good word to use, but you're saying that I am vouching for myself. I want to keep this money within my circles. And this is now what is going to allow you to start investing, to start buying property, to start buying assets, assets that are supposed then to start giving you more income. So you give yourself to start getting more money from the money that you have earned. Otherwise, if you are to spend the entire of it, then you will never get the opportunity to generate assets or to buy assets that are supposed then to make your income generation even better. There is something we usually say that people need to focus on getting more than one streams of income.
Awesome. So
one, whether you're in employment or whether you are in business, you need to focus on ensuring that there is, an extra thing you're doing that is generating money for you, that is not the active day-to-day, stuff that you do. If you are employed, you're earning money through your blood and time, right? And your intellect and all that. But then if you set aside money that you save and you start now investing it, it will give you passive income.
Yes.
And that is now what makes you richer tomorrow than you are today. Otherwise, if your money comes and leaves, then it will just help you to survive, get by from today to tomorrow, but it's not improving your financial status, so to speak.
Right.
So paying yourself first is ensuring that this money remains within my circles, and that is now what allows you to start doing the investments, and all those other things that we're going to talk about.
Okay.
Yes.
So if I've understood you well, if I keep a certain portion of the money and took it and put it in an MMF, is that paying me first?
Yes, that is paying yourself first. So we will come now to discuss on where do you put it. As you're saying, paying yourself first. So I've decided 20%. Usually we want to put that figure between 20 to 30% of your income. So you're paying yourself first. It can go into a savings account. That is usually the most basic from whichever bank that you work with, or you bank where your salary or income goes to. You can put it in an MMF or a money market fund. I've realized it's not good to use the acronyms. There are some people who may not really know. So a money market fund.
Yes.
You can put it in a circle.
Okay.
You could also now be more sophisticated and put it in other more structured investments like T-bills or what is called mutual funds, or even government bonds eventually when the amount grows to a significant amount. But by all means, ensure that money is remaining within your circles such that you can access it later, either to sustain yourself if your income stops flowing, or the so-called emergency fund, or two, now to start applying it into more, serious investments. But remember, if you didn't start by saving, then you will not even have anything to invest.
If you did
so
not
that's
pay
where
yourself
it starts.
First.
If you didn't pay yourself first, you will not get anything to invest. And that's why I think why most people get it wrong, because they feel like investments are far off. But I usually say, as soon as you start getting income, regardless of how little or small it is, then you need to understand that you need to pay yourself from that amount, whether it's 10,000 or 20,000 or 50 or 100, percentages apply even to 1 shilling.
Yes.
So when I say save 20% to 30% of your income, that is paying yourself first,
yes.
then it needs to apply to all types of income, regardless of how small or how big it is. Yeah.
All right. So you spoke also about multiple sources of income.
Yes.
What does that really mean? And also talk about a little bit more about passive income, especially for someone who is in employment. How can they leverage the passive income and still continue being effective in their places of work?
Yes.
Yeah.
And especially those who are employed.
Yes.
I've even looked at the camera. Especially those who are employed.
Yes.
You know why? Because you can take many years without your salary changing.
Yes.
You'll be lucky to work for an organization that reviews your salary on a monthly basis or on a yearly basis.
Say that again.
Literally, you'll be lucky to work for an organization that reviews your salary on a yearly basis. However, you can take charge of the process of your income growing.
Yes.
You know? And how do you do that? You ensure that you're taking a portion of your income to direct it to a place that it can start earning you income. And of course, when you start off, it's not going to be that much. We are talking of maybe average incomes of or average returns of about between 6 to 15% for the average person or for the average investment options.
Yes.
And that is per year.
Yes.
So when you apply that to, let's say, 10,000, it will only come to maybe 1,500. So when you're starting off, it might not make sense.
Yes.
But cumulatively, it will be a huge amount of money.
Yes.
And especially if you don't touch it, such that it applies now compound interest aspects.
Awesome.
You know,
Awesome.
so that you end up earning interest on interest. And so if you keep on doing that, you will realize after a few years of investing, you are now drawing a significant amount of income in the form of interest from these options that you have put in your money in.
Yes.
And now that slowly starts to supplement your income.
Awesome.
Now, you need to have this conversation in the context of the hierarchy of steps that we take towards financial freedom.
Freedom, yes.
So we will usually start from financial instability.
Yes.
You know, financial instability is where all of us are going to start. And financial instability is where you're earning income that is not able to cater for all your primary needs or all your needs as a human being.
Yes.
However, much as that is the situation, you need to then to deliberately set aside a certain amount so that you can get yourself out of that situation. And that is now when you start investing. You save first and then you start investing. You start generating passive income. Thereby, when you now move from financial instability, you might, as you continue working, maybe you're working hard, you're also improving your skills so that you can get a better job. For example, if you're in employment or if you're in business, you start generating enough revenue and paying yourself as an individual to the extent that you have enough money to cater for your day-to-day needs, and you have set aside some money. So this is the money that you apply in those passive income. So passive here means that you don't need to be there for the money to be generated.
Awesome.
As opposed to the active income, the one like whether you're in business, you see. Active. If you're in business, you need to open that shop.
Yes.
You need to open that, even if you're doing online business.
Yes.
You need to actively do something for you to unlock the income. But passive is where you have just done something once and you have set the system rolling for you to start earning income. Whether it's monthly, quarterly, yearly, something is happening behind the scenes. That's why we call it passive. So, Warren Buffett says that if you don't get a way of earning money while you sleep, then you will work until you die.
True that.
So you need to channel your money to a place that is generating money while you sleep.
Awesome.
You see?
Yes.
So anything that has that nature,
Yes.
then that is what you are trying to advocate for.
All right.
And then after you have gotten to a financial stability where your income caters for your needs,
Yes.
and you have something small to set aside,
Yes.
which now starts building your passive income sources.
Yes.
Now, these passive income sources
Yes.
should get to a place where they are equal to your active income.
Awesome.
But you see, if you didn't start, you can never get there.
Cannot get there, I agree.
It's only at that time when
Yes.
your active income
Yes.
is equal to
The
your passive income that
Yes.
you can say that you're financially independent.
Yes.
Such that you can now decide to leave what you do on a daily basis and probably go and pursue
Other interests.
that are more fulfilling
Yes.
and impact based and all that.
Yes.
Without affecting your day-to-day, such that your life can be taken care of by the passive income.
Yes.
And it's a desire that all of us have, and that is what usually leads to someone deciding that I can take early retirement.
Yes.
Especially if you're working,
Yes.
if you're employed. Otherwise, until you get to that level, it's very hard for you to make that decision to
Yes.
retire early.
Yes, yes.
So it's important for you to have a way of generating passive income. And I know life has many things.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
have to live, you have to enjoy, you have to go out on holiday, you have to upgrade.
Yes.
You have to be and to be seen that you're progressing, because society also has its own expectations on
I
us.
know.
And you can't tell us that umejifinya sana, you're putting up reserves,
Yes.
but your life continues to appear like it's miserable again.
Yeah.
And I know you talk to
Mid-career professionals. Yes.
And it's not good again for you to appear like you have remained the same as when you started working. So the way how you appear also needs to change as your career grows.
Yes.
Otherwise, people are not going to give you respect.
Yeah,
Because
they
then,
look at you stagnating.
yeah, it looks
That's
like you're
the
stagnating.
point,
Even
yeah.
your own demeanor and the choice of clothes,
Yes.
the places you live. Of course, life has to go on.
Yes.
But we are saying do that with 70% of your income.
Okay.
All those things,
Yes.
do them with 70% of your income. But
yeah.
30%, allow it to start changing your
Compound,
life
yeah.
so that at some point you can ease out on your reliance on income, on
Yes.
your actual income, and even accelerate the pace at which your life is improving
Yes.
as you go along.
As you go along.
Yeah.
All right. I really love what you have spoken about and putting into perspective the mid-career professional. This is
Yes.
where key decisions are being made because people in mid-career, they are somehow above the instability. They are more of in the stable,
Yes.
but they're wondering now, what next?
What
Is this
next,
it? Is this what I really want to be? And many people, most of the time, if they didn't have the knowledge that we have right now, that you could actually grow your paying yourself to the point that it matches your corporate income,
Yes.
then it becomes very hard to make a decision at that inflection point
True.
that is in mid-career. So many people would, should anything happen that they lose their jobs, they would be very distressed.
Devastated,
and they would be
yes.
looking for another job
altogether.
which
yes.
doesn't come as immediate as it were, because one, at mid-career, you are looked at having been sort of successful,
Yes.
and that many corporates will look at you as, we cannot afford you.
Expensive,
So
yes.
yeah, you are expensive. So you tend to really have a lot of trouble
Yes.
getting back into employment.
Yes.
So if you do not build the reserves for your ability to leave the corporate space and as at when you want, it becomes really difficult to cope up.
Yes.
And that explains a lot of depression that's going on in mid-career. And
True.
that's what I get to see a lot in mid-career professionals. So this conversation definitely is of great value to people that are in mid-career at the moment.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Let me bring in a certain conversation we usually want to encourage.
yes,
It's something called your wealth number.
yes,
So your wealth number is if you were to take the amount of money that you have available for you to access. And you divide it by your monthly expenses.
Yes.
So you will get a number, which ideally you're supposed to interpret it in terms of months. So let's assume that you already know that you're supposed to save, and you have been putting aside some money.
Yes.
That either it's in a savings account, a money market fund, a SACCO account, all these things that you're talking about. Such that in the event that you needed to access that money to use, then you could, reach out and buy. Or rather, and have that income working for you. If you divide it by your monthly expenses,
yes,
what that translates to is how long that money can sustain you. And so the question we usually ask is, if your income stopped flowing in, if you lost your primary income,
yes,
how long can you survive financially without changing your lifestyle? Now, many times I've had this conversation.
Yes.
It's usually a shocker to many because when you do that calculation,
yes,
many people realize that they have actually not been preparing for such an eventuality. Because a lot of our money comes in and goes out. And that's what they talk about, living paycheck to paycheck. Such that if your HR delays to pay salary, you find most people will, go into depression.
Yes.
Because there are so many bills that needs to be sorted. It means that you don't have reserves that can last you even more than a month. Now, ideally, your wealth number, which is now the outcome of that equation, if you take your available money divided by your monthly expenses, for you to know that you're safe, you need to be working with a wealth number of about 6, meaning that you can survive for 6 months after you have lost your income through whatever means or through whatever circumstances.
Yes.
And you are not going to change your lifestyle. Of course, I know if it were to happen, you will definitely downsize.
Yeah, true that.
And that means that then if you are working with 6, you can even now manage to push it even to a year.
Yes.
Because, of course, when your primary income stops flowing, you will definitely have to do some adjustments. Otherwise, you'll know that, you don't have too much time, ahead. And so... And this is something that we can encourage our audience to think about.
Yes.
And you should always be aspiring that at any one given time, your wealth number is 6. Of course, things will happen. Maybe at some point you will do a major asset purchase and it depletes your reserves. But then that should then be a cue for you to now start pumping money into that. In other quarters, it's called an emergency fund that then you would access so that if you get an emergency, you don't automatically default to having to borrow to cater for such an emergency. You need to have an amount that you can run to, sort out, and then you keep on now boosting it back to where it was before the occurrence of the emergency that you had.
Awesome. Yes. Now, we've mentioned a little bit of debt. So how do we manage our debt so that we achieve this financial freedom that we are all chasing?
Yes. Interesting. Now, debt happens to be one of the ways that most people fall into depression or they stagnate in life or actually fall back or fall behind where they're supposed to be going.
Yes.
And especially when you borrow to finance lifestyle, the so-called consumer debt, which is what plagues a lot of people. Now, debt is good.
Yes.
And I usually like starting with that.
Yes.
But debt is good if used for the right purpose.
Awesome.
And the right purpose of using debt is as a leverage. Like you're using other people's money to grow yourself or to achieve certain milestones in your life that would have otherwise taken you, let's say, 5 years to achieve. So what you do is that you take money from the bank, you achieve that goal, and mostly a goal that is developmental.
Okay.
Or a goal that will lead you to be in a better financial position.
Great.
So you're looking at growing yourself to where you want to go. And then you are left with the bank to settle as you go along. So you take the money, you achieve. So if it was the purchase of an asset, instead of waiting for 5 years to save your way into that asset, you take other people's money, you achieve that goal, and so that asset starts generating income now.
For you.
And so it will actually, sometimes you can even get an asset that pays the loan itself, actually, without having to rely on your primary source of income. However, we know there are different types of assets that may not necessarily start paying you a return immediately, but they will have a future value, and you can be able to start generating income later on. Okay, so debt is good. So there is usually a conversation about good debt and bad debt. So good debt is anything that helps you to acquire an asset. You buy something that grows in value, or something that helps you to bring up your income, or something that usually has a long-term value at the end of the day. And generally, something you do with that money that will leave you at a better financial position than you were before you took the debt.
Awesome.
And I say that because even paying for education that will then unlock your capacity to earn more is also a good way of using debt. So it might not necessarily be you buying a physical asset, or like a piece of land or a car or something of the sort. Then bad debt is anything that you do with money that you will not see future value in it.
All right.
So like going on holiday, because I know there are people who take debt to go on holiday. To finance your day-to-day lifestyle, to buy things like furniture that immediately you buy it, it starts losing value. And that brings me to the age-long conversation of whether a car loan is a good debt or bad debt. And I know there are people who usually argue for or against buying a car with loan. But the conclusion we arrive at as financial advisors is that it depends on what type of a car and the circumstances under which you buy the car. And especially with the realization that for cars, when you buy a car, and I don't know whether this you have ever had, when you buy a car, 3 years to 5 years into it, you will have spent an equivalent amount of money to the purchase price through maintenance, through the fueling, through all the other things, wear and tear, not even wear and tear, actual money you have spent on the car. Leave alone the depreciation. Depreciation is something else. But the actual money you spend on that car, 3 years into it, you have injected an equal amount to the purchase price. So it's like you have bought another car, essentially. So if you got the car through a loan, so on top of you repaying the loan you have spent another equivalent amount of money to that loan amount maintaining the car. And especially for cars that are in the mid ranges of value, talk about up to maybe 3 million or so, because again when you look at higher priced cars, of course you may not end up spending that much, but now those ones are usually affected by depreciation. So you have to be very deliberate when you're taking a loan to buy a car to ensure that there is a balance between the utility you're getting out of that car and how much money you're having to spend now and in the future. So that then and this is what I usually say, and I usually say I'm not telling people not to buy cars because of that fact. It has to be a very deliberate conversation within yourself. That one, I know why I'm buying this car, and I'm buying a car that I can afford. Because I've also seen in my interaction with customers, given that I'm in the financial services space, there are many people who buy cars that are way out of their affordability. And it's a fact that we have to put out there, especially for the people you talk to. The guys who are in the mid-career. There is a tendency that, I want a car that will help me to match my status. I have to, appear in a certain way in meetings, in my social circles. And you may be choking, and I hope I'm not stepping on anyone's toes, but you may be choking from actually sustaining that car.
Yes.
But, for the status that it allows you to unlock, it's okay to say, I would have wanted a car worth 3 million.
Yes.
But the level of income that I have and my sources of income can only accommodate a car worth 1 million.
For now.
Yes. And be comfortable with that. Because that other gap that you're trying to bridge,
yes,
it's you who is going to finance it.
Awesome.
And mostly, and I hope this gets to someone, mostly it's going to be at the expense of other things that you would have done with that money,
yes,
that would have been more meaningful to you in the long run than the value that this car brings.
All right.
You get? And so when you're doing that car purchase, and especially when you're buying that car on debt, please do a lot of calculations.
Okay.
Both for now and in the future.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So in our quest to get to the financial freedom, what financial habits do we need to have at this point, regardless of where you are, whether you're in mid-career, you're starting off, or you are nearly retiring and you notice that you did not keep the habits that you needed to have kept? Where do we begin?
Okay. So the first habit that, of course, we can never talk enough about,
yes,
is spending what is left after you have saved.
Yes.
In other words, paying yourself first.
Yes.
So that should be lifelong. For as long as you're earning, that should be the practice that you make sure that you do. Then number 2 is the habit of budgeting. I know it's now cliche that people need to budget.
Yes.
But there is no any other way. There are those practices that, regardless of how many times they are said or they are advocated for,
yes,
they are very important, and you cannot outgrow budgeting.
Yes.
Companies do budget.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah? And the budget process happens every year, almost every quarter or every month, And so there's you can't say at now, because we have come of age, we are going to drop budgeting. There is no any other way that has been invented of being in control of your finances other than going through the budgeting process. Yeah? Yes. So budgeting is very important. Yes. Then number 3 is tracking your expenses. So there are people who budget, but they end up doing totally different things with the money they have. And so you need to have a process by which you track what you spend. Otherwise, you're going to say you're going to do ABC, and then you end up doing XYZ, which is not speaking to the budget that you did.
Awesome.
And I think for corporation, I usually tell people it's good to treat yourself like a corporation. If you look at how companies manage finances,
yes,
and you mimic that, imagine you'll never go wrong with your finances.
I agree.
Because it's usually very paramount for organizations to spend every coin they have in the most efficient way. I don't know why, as individuals, we don't want to go that route. So treat yourself like a corporation.
Yes.
And that is not to say that you're not going to enjoy life. Yes. In any case, even companies have staff parties.
Yes, they
have allocation for team buildings.
Yes,
they have allocation for tea. They have allocation for holidays.
Yes.
They have allocations for entertainment.
Yes.
Even in the company setup. But the company, the people who set up the whole thing called a corporation, had very clear ways of knowing how they're going to use their money. And that is making sure that it's going to the right use and it's being tracked in the right way. So tracking your expenses is very important. And number 3 is ensuring that you're constantly investing your time and your own money into your future. And that comes by continuously looking at what is available in the market as an investment destination or destination for your money for investment purposes. And also increasing your knowledge about finances.
Awesome.
Now, most people will look at this thing from a passive, angle, where you only wait until you come across this information. For example, if you are lucky to come across this podcast,
yes,
we are teaching you on how to manage money.
Yes.
Now, most people, when they find a conversation about money, will scroll away.
Yes.
They say it's another boring conversation about money. But the people who hack it with finances are those who are deliberate about looking for information relating to investments.
Yes.
And, savings, insurance, and all those, in a way that they are being proactive. They are not waiting for an opportunity that will come by accident for them to, hear a certain conversation. A friend is buying shares, or a friend is doing this and that, and so they say, I can also do it. You need to be deliberate about looking for information that will lead to your money growing and multiplying. And in the world of investments, we usually don't want to talk about addition. We want to talk about multiplication.
Yes,
because that is a better math sign or math operation to do than to add, because addition takes a long time, but multiplication is gets you to your goals faster than addition. So teaching yourself and acquiring knowledge on the go, and ensuring that you are refreshing yourself with the knowledge you had yesterday, because the things that worked yesterday might not work today. Right now, we are talking about using AI to make income, to create income.
Yes.
And if you rely on the information you had yesterday of stocks, money market funds, government bonds, what else do people invest in? Mutual funds.
Mutual funds, yes.
Or land, as a way of making money, rental income.
Rental income, yeah.
You will be left behind, because the things that worked yesterday might not necessarily work today, or they might continue working, but there are better ways, there are more efficient ways of applying our money and accruing a return from it, and even in a faster way than what worked yesterday, or the traditional ways of investing. And the good thing is, we are living at a time when it's very easy to access information.
True that.
Right now, if you just typed on how to make money using AI, you will get a ton of results.
True that.
ChatGPT itself and the equivalents in the market, like in Perplexity and Gemini, and all those other Grok and even DeepSeek from China, they now have ways of how people can make money. You can develop a whole strategy of how to get yourself from 0 to 1 million shillings using ChatGPT or any other of those LLMs. There are now ways that you can be able to create a system that starts generating income for you while you sleep using AI itself through software development in a way that doesn't even require you to know how to code. And all these things are available, but if you don't leverage, if you don't leverage on them by looking for that information, you will continue making money, maybe through the traditional ways, but you're leaving a lot of options on the table and literally leaving money on the table. Well, everyone else has gone and they have embraced the new ways of doing things. Of course, we also talk about caution. And the risks involved with business and all these ways of making money. And that leads me now to the other habit that we need to develop. And that is the habit of assessing our risk appetite. Because not every investment is appropriate for all types of investors.
I agree.
We have something that we call money personality. So we interact with money in different ways. There are people who are more inclined towards saving. There are people who are more inclined towards hoarding whatever they have. There are those people who take a lot of risk. There are those people who would rather take a passive approach to investing and all that. And there are people who are just carefree. They are neither here nor there. They don't want to involve themselves with too much about managing money. So you need to first of all understand your money personality. Which then leads you to know how to interact with the risk that is there in the industry. Because for sure there are a lot of risks. When you compare a money market fund to a government bond,
yes,
there are different types of risks that will go in there, and you need to understand them. You can't make money from something that you don't understand.
True.
You might even end up burning your cash if you go too into something that you didn't know how the system works.
Yes.
So you need to understand the fundamentals of how a certain investment option works before you can go into it, because you'll first have assessed your appetite for risk and whether you can be able to stomach the risk that usually comes with that particular investment.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I can go on and on, but for the purposes of this conversation,
yes,
I think those would really speak to
the
what you
habits.
really need to do. And of course, allow me to add one.
Okay, go ahead.
Looking at the importance of insurance
Yes.
in this whole game of personal finance management and chasing investments and all
Yes,
that.
yes.
Because it's very important. And I know in insurance is not a very interesting conversation that most people like to have.
Of course.
Because they look at it as a luxury
Yes.
for most people. Or the only way that most people interact with insurance is with the mandatory ones.
Yes.
For example, the car
car.
insurance and third party for that matter. So even many people who have cars just go
They
for the
do
third
third
party. They don't
party.
look at what is the importance of doing the comprehensive insurance. So looking and assessing your insurance needs, first of all, understanding the types of insurance that are available in the industry and looking at how they gel into your whole financial game is very, very important. Otherwise, if you don't onboard insurance as a financial management tool, 10 years worth of your savings can be wiped out by one occurrence in your life.
True.
Maybe a fire or a sickness. And we have seen, many people lose, what they have really worked for because they didn't have an aspect of insurance. And so look at all the available types of insurances, be it domestic cover that covers your
house.
items in your house. Your phone,
Yes.
I'm sure, I don't know how much your phone costs. You can tell us if you like, but I'm sure whatever amount it costs,
Yes.
you don't have another amount that you have put somewhere such that if you lost that phone
You will
or
buy
if you
immediately.
broke that phone, you will just rush, without any pinch and you go and replace your phone. I'm sure if you lost your phone, you will feel very painful.
You will
because
grieve.
You will grieve, because even if you may be having some money set somewhere, it was not for such an eventuality. It was for something else. So you need to look at all those types of insurances,
Yes.
including the domestic package, as I've said, covering the items in your house
Yes.
and your phones and your laptops and all that. Health insurance, very important. Us who are employed are lucky that our employers arrange for medical insurance.
Yes.
However, even for us who are employed, you need to also assess your needs in
Yes.
terms of medical expenses.
Yes.
Sometimes what the employer has provided is not enough. And so you need to inject some additional amounts to cover your family entirely. At the same time, employers will not cover everyone in your family setup.
True that.
So you need to look at who else is dependent on me, but requires medical cover. And so I need to go in and look at that need and cover it from an allocation point of view. Other types of insurances would include education cover, so like I had talked about. So this is more of aspirational. What do you want to do in future? And are there arrangements in the industry that can help you take care of a future need now, and you start allocating some money towards the same. Other more sophisticated types of insurances would be like travel insurance, which is on a need basis. When you're traveling, life insurance in itself, and if you were to think about it, life insurance should actually be a wealth propagation tool. And there are families, and we have seen certain, group of people or ethnicity. No, let me not say that. there are certain cultures,
Yes.
let me call it that, cultures in this country and the world that actually use life insurance as a wealth propagation tool, such that any exit of a member of a family usually is an opportunity for millions of shillings to be injected into the family wealth. And we will all pass at some point.
That's true. That's
so
true.
that culture realized that fact. And so what they have done is that they have, probably all of them taken life insurance. And such that at the appointed time for someone to leave, instead of there being grief, and of course there's going to be grief because you have lost the person.
Of the person,
but there's a financial cushion that is given to the family, such that, unlike what happens mostly with our African setups, that when someone leaves, they actually leave with a lot of wealth because there's a lot of money that is spent during that whole process, on the funeral process, and all the accompanying activities that happen, and especially depending on which part of this world you come from. There are those that really spend heavily, to give a befitting send-off to this person.
Yes.
And we have seen situations, and this is the truth, however painful it is, that when someone passes on, there's usually a huge financial dent that is spelt on the family. But now, this culture that I'm talking about, and it's good, I can mention the Asians. The Asian community, really uses insurance as a way of propagating their family wealth.
That is good
and
to
it's
know.
An example that we can actually emulate.
Yes.
And so that, you take a life insurance and it's money that will never benefit you as a person, but at least you have left a legacy for your family, such that when you're gone, there's going to be money that is going to be, paid into the family kitty. And of course, you better put maybe a family trust so that then, it doesn't again become the cause of, squabbles and conflict and all that.
Yes.
And you manage it in a certain way that, yes, they will grieve your exit as a loved one, but they will not grieve your exit as a provider or as a source of income or as a source of livelihood, or the aspirations and the hopes that the family had in you, carrying them to the next level. You will have cushioned them, and that injection of the payout from the life cover will actually cover the financial gap that you have left. And there are many other types of insurances that we can talk about. For those who are in business, it's good to cover your business. And allow me to share one example.
Okay.
I had, or rather I have a classmate who now owns a dental clinic. And this is an actual, can I say, testimony?
Yes.
So one day I went pitching to him about fire, the so-called fire and burglary, insurance policy. And they actually confessed to me that I think a year earlier, they had been pitched to such a solution, but then they only took selectively and only insured, the pieces of his equipment that he thought were most valuable and which would cause him a lot of pain if he lost them, and left others. And so while he thought that the ones that are most expensive are the ones who are going to, which are going to give him the biggest financial loss if anything happened to them, a fire actually broke down and it affected the others that he had not insured.
Oh my.
Not that he didn't have the capacity to insure them, but he didn't feel like, in the way he was looking at it, he felt like he only needed to take care of these ones that are more expensive. But the financial loss he went through, because the others that were not insured are the ones that
not paid for,
got burned. So it's very important even for business people to look at what is the value of insurance in the continuity of their business. Because when something happens, and unfortunately, God denied us the ability to know about tomorrow.
True that.
But he has given us the ability to learn that there are tools that we can use to protect ourselves from the eventuality that would end up causing us financial loss. And that's now the importance of insurance in its entirety. And we can go into examples and, but the point here is always make sure that you're considering your insurance needs and you spare some money to cater for those, almost either annually or even those that you would pay on a monthly basis.
Wow, I love that. You see, you're culminating it, the risk part, and providing the cushion so that you're protected from this risk.
Yes.
Okay, as we conclude, I'd like you to just briefly talk about the pitfalls that are in mid-career. Just make it brief.
Yes. Okay. Number one is, as you have said, depending on one income. If by now you're in mid-career level and you don't have an extra source of income, and here we're talking about employees, right?
Yes.
For purposes of the right context.
Yes.
If you're in mid-career and you're only relying on your salary as a source of income, then that's already... you're already in a pitfall.
Yes.
Because either you are taking a very huge risk that should anything happen to your income, then you'll immediately fall into financial distress. Or two, you are shortchanging yourself in that you're not achieving your goals faster or as fast as you should. Because if you had an extra source of income, which is all available to you to choose, then you would actually achieve your goals faster. Because you are just leaving this as an option that is not explored. And I know, and I usually want to speak to employees in the context of their own employers' outside business interests, because that's very important. You need to know what your employer is comfortable with and what they are not comfortable with. And there are all these disclosures of what else you do beyond your work, so that then there is no risk of conflict of interest.
All right.
So it's very important for you to know the confines of your employer and you apply them so that you're not jeopardizing your primary source. So that's one pitfall, relying on one
source of income.
Then number two is spending more than you earn. And I know there are people who find themselves in that, and with this whole argument that you only live once, and you find that someone is earning 100K, but they end up spending 120 or 150. Where is this extra money coming from? Mostly from borrowed sources. And debt, that is straight debt into the so-called consumer debt, which then we know is detrimental in the long run. Then another pitfall is, of course, not having enough financial knowledge. And hoping that things will just unfold. You have to be deliberate about what you do with your money and how you actually allocate it. And don't rely on what your friends are going to tell you.
Awesome.
That might be source of income, information, but the more valuable information is the one that you go looking out for and you understand, so that you are making deliberate decisions as to how your money is distributed and guided by your goals. And I know we should have started by talking about goals, but I want to believe that everyone has goals. So guided by your goals, and your goals might not be the same as mine.
True that.
And that's why if you rely on what your friends are talking about, then they might be taking care of totally different goals. But then you are allowing their choices of how they spend money and where they invest to influence yours, yet they are serving totally different outcomes, or they're looking out to different incomes altogether. Awesome. So you need to really know your goals and seek for information that is leading that. Those are the ones that I can quickly think about. And then, of course, borrowing from what you've just talked about, insurance, not being sufficiently covered in terms of your insurance needs, and leaving yourself exposed to the risks that we face on a daily basis. And then the last one I would mention is keeping up with the Joneses. Doing things like our friends are doing and societal pressure, or peer pressure, or, comparing yourself too much with colleagues and all that. And, and the unfair competition or an unhealthy competition that we subject ourselves to without really understanding what the other person is going through. And they say that if you don't earn like them, don't spend like them. But do you know how much I earn? No, mostly you're not going to. So if you end up spending like me, I'm sure you don't know how much I earn.
True that.
So that phrase actually tells us just do your own life.
Absolutely.
Make your own plans. By the time you're making a financial decision, let it be advised by a very heavy consideration of all the parameters in your life, and in a way that is going to help you to eventually get the best results. And finally, is not preparing adequately for retirement. And I know that's a whole other conversation we can have.
I think we should have.
It's a pitfall, yes. So it's a pitfall in the sense that most people rely on the pension contributions that their employers have an arrangement with. But statistics will tell us that the average person, the average retirees, uses up their retirement funds by 3 years, after 3 years. And two, you will need, they actually say that you will need up to 70% of your last income, the last income that you earn before retirement,
yes,
to sustain the lifestyle you'll have acquired.
True that.
And that's why you see that most people will retire and go back to the village.
True.
Because their income has significantly dropped, and so they're not able to keep up with the lifestyle they had attained. Yeah. But the desired situation would be that you have investments and passive income sources or businesses you have put up, or you have brought your passive income sources to a level that they can quickly take over your active income after retirement. And so you're not really depending on the retirement amount, the payout and the pension money that you're going to receive after retirement to be the one that is going to help you sustain. You have other sources. And like Mr. Gatumi usually says, that in retirement, cash flow is king. So even as you're preparing your retirement by buying assets and, pieces of land and all that, you also need to make sure that you're going to be having cash flow, cash flow delivering assets, because when you are done with work, that money that comes in on a monthly basis, what is going to sustain you, not your net worth. You might be having wealth on paper, but you can't translate it into cash. And you need cash, actually. Otherwise, you'll end up selling your most valued assets to sustain your life after retirement. So it's a wide conversation that you can always talk about. But,
all right.
Time will not allow us, I know.
Of course, we can have another episode where we'll talk about retirement planning, and I'm happy to host you. For now, let me say thank you for this conversation. It's really been valuable.
Thank you.
I must say that I have learned a lot in the process, even as we were having this conversation. And I'm very sure there are many takeaways for our audience, which is mid-career professionals.
Thank you.
Otherwise, thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
That's it from the Sylvia Correll podcast. So let's meet in the next episode. Have a lovely day.